All right, welcome to Wholesaling the Cool Way. I'm Jasper Cool here with my dad, Mark Cool. And on this podcast, we share our real world insights, tools, and strategies to help you succeed in your real estate investing business. So you'll get both of our perspectives from two respective businesses. And we cover wholesaling houses, vacant land, building a business, managing VAs, all the above, and more. So typically, we like to kick off things with some inspiration and education. So do you have anything that stood out to you this week that you want to share?
Yeah, I was thinking about this on my drive. I just drove back from Swansboro and the beach. I was sharing with Jasper offline. Got a quick weekend down at the beach, and thinking about it on the way home. But actually, on the way there and on the way home, I was listening to a book that I really love called The Big Leap. And Jasper and I have both read this, and I revisit it almost annually. Maybe not every year, but it's got just really good information about. I'll try and encapsulate it as best I can, but the big leap is just about removing our own internal barriers to really fulfilling our potential and living in what he calls our zone of genius. And so, again, not trying to make it too long, but we all have sort of a zone of incompetence, a zone of competence, a zone of excellence, and a zone of genius, right? And you can get trapped in any one of those zones below the zone of genius, but you probably, according to this book, and I believe this, you won't be really fulfilled in your life until you're living most of the time in your zone of genius. So his goal in this book is to get you to like at least 70% of your time living in your zone of genius. And the barrier to that is your upper limit problem. What he's like a phrase he's coined, your upper limit problem, which is whatever messages or thoughts you've internalized and maybe even subconsciously repeat to yourself that are keeping you from achieving at the level you know you can, or believe you can. And he really does some nice illustrations from like clients he's worked with as a coach or his own life of how the upper limit problem manifests. And then he talks about, like I think there's five different main ways it manifests, and then he talks about real life strategies about how to overcome that. And the other one piece I would share about that is just that his other caution in that book is that oftentimes our upper limit problem will kick in when something's going really good, when we close a big deal, when our relationship is going really well, when our health is really good, when some facet of our life is going really well. Because you could use the analogy of a thermostat. Like we have a thermostat that's sort of where we're accustomed to being in terms of love life or health or business success or any of these areas of life. And when we go above that thermostat setting, it gets uncomfortable. And then our upper limit problem or our internal, you know, thermostat regulator will knock us back down through illness, injury, creating a conflict in a relationship, sabotaging something in business, going after a shiny object when you should stay the course in your business, things like that. So it's a really great, I read the book, the hard copy, and then I've listened to the ebook the last couple times because it's easy to do while I'm driving or whatever. And the author reads the ebook, and he's a really good reader and really good. It's his concept, so he articulates it really well, and I enjoy it. So I recommend that. And then I'll hit on a brief one that I got some value from too. And Jasper and I almost every week shout out Alex Hormozy, but he published a thing on YouTube. I don't know if you saw this, Jasper, but it was like the title is something like "Sales Here It Is," everything that's working or new things that are working, and it's like a 2.5 hour episode, but it's just really breaking down sales. What he's constantly studying sales and buying companies and helping companies max out their potential, and sales is a big piece. It's how he built his gyms and then subsequent businesses. So he talks about what's working in sales as he's evolving his sales mindset and training and teaching other people. And I'll just share a couple things that hit me quickly on it, and I think they apply to wholesaling businesses. Is one is weekends. He just emphasized that you might want to work Monday through Friday, but your customer's most convenient time to talk about a deal might be on the weekend. And so if you're not available on the weekends or don't have somebody on your team available on the weekends when they have time to talk, you're missing deals. And we've experienced this. It's like you're trying to get this person, trying to get this person, trying to get this person, but they're working 9 to 5 and they have kids to pick up at school, or they have, other things to do, like take them to soccer practice or whatever, but they're probably available on the weekend, but hey, I don't want to work weekends. And so then that cycle rolls over to the next Monday and you're trying to chase them and catch them up with them all week, but they might have been available on the weekend. So he just points out that, and he had stats for it, like a huge percentage of sales would be converted if you have somebody available on the weekend to talk to sellers or buyers or whoever your clients are. So that was one thing. And then there was a ridiculous thing that he shared, a stat, and they own now some sort of a what are they, like a scheduler company. I don't know if you knew this, Jasper. Acquisitions has, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's a scheduling company. So they're seeing all these stats in real time about when people hit a sales funnel or when people fill out an online form and when they schedule and how quickly they respond and when the sweet spots are. And one thing that came out of this was that your sales, your percentage of converting a sale go up. It was like 391%, basically 400%. If you get that person within 60 seconds of them clicking your whatever, within 60 seconds of them calling you or filling out your online form or clicking a link that you're posting or whatever it is, if you get them within 60 seconds of that, your percentage of closing them will go up 400%, which is ridiculous and insane. But, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Matt Larson talks about this too, of live transfer and stuff. So the point of behind that is when motivation is there, there's usually a very slim motivation window for people when they're just ready to take action. And oftentimes the first person to be there and be available when they're ready to take action is the person who gets the deal. It's not necessarily the person with the best offer or the best quality product or anything else. It's when the person's ready and the motivation is at its highest, whoever they're able to connect with gets that deal. And so
Mm-hmm.
he gave an example of his wife, Layla, and they were out traveling somewhere and she wanted to do something with her hair. And she just went on Yelp or whatever and started calling salons. Hey, can you take me now? No, sorry, we only take advance. Okay, thanks. Hey, can you take me now? No, sorry, we only book ahead. Hey, can you take me now? Yes, boom, book me. And she goes, right? And it was just a
Nice.
prime example of it. So that was a really cool takeaway. A bunch of really good takeaways in there. He's just got so much gold as far as sales go. And he generalizes it enough so it'll apply to any industry, but there's a lot of gold there for wholesaling. And I know I've done a fair amount of talking on these too, so I'll leave it at that. But I recommend both those. And you can just go to Alex Hormozy on YouTube and it's called Sales. Here it is, everything that's working or something like that. It's like a 2-hour video. I'll try and link it in the show notes too. And that's what I've got. What do you got, Jasper?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Those are some really good ones. I haven't listened to that video yet or watched that video, so I'll have to check it out.
It's a long one. You have to break it into pieces, but it's good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about too. It's kind of top of mind for me. It's like, I mean, yesterday I took a online lead call, and I didn't have anyone else to take it, and we closed another deal last weekend, and then just this morning we got a contract signed. So it's just very, very true. So I'm definitely thinking about trying to hire someone to like only work graveyard shift and weekends. And
After I listened to this, that's where I was at too. Just like
yeah,
somebody works from 5 to 9 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday,
yeah. So yeah, I'm probably gonna try to see if I can find someone to do that pretty soon. Obviously, there's opportunity to integrate AI somewhere here and have like a someone who takes all those inbound calls. It's AI, and then they can transfer it, but they still need someone to transfer it to. So, but yeah,
I
I've
also
just
think
noticed that.
AI could be a good stopgap. At least it would get them a response so they are not feeling like, oh, I'm just moving on to the next one. These people aren't answering, right?
Hmm.
At least they would get something. Even if they got a voicemail, it would be better than hey, it's after business hours, call us back, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so that's a great thinking point for sure. And I know there's someone, Tiffany and Josh High, who are kind of big wholesale coaches and stuff. They have something that's interesting where they have like I don't know what the right word is, but it's kind of like rotating working hours for their team. And so I don't remember the exact schedule, but it was something like on Monday they work specific hours, and every single day is literally different. And so Monday, let's just say for example, they work like 9 to 6, like a normal work day. Tuesday might be 10 to 7 or something. Wednesday through Friday might be like 11 to 8 or something, like just for as an example. But that's what they did. And then they said on Saturdays they did a rotating. So they have like a decent sized sales team. But so first and third Saturday is a certain number of their sales team has to come in and work full day. And then second and fourth is the other people that get the first and third off. So I thought that was interesting. I still don't think they have anyone working Sundays, but they definitely are implementing the Saturday at least. And I thought that was interesting.
I
So
wonder if they probably have data around that too, like Hormozy does, because he had a lot of data around, because of this scheduling company they have now. The other quick
yeah.
one was 15-minute increments. If you're allowing people to schedule, give them 15-minute increments because they're much more likely to schedule than if you're giving them top of the hour, half hour.
Hmm. That's smart. Yeah, that's smart. I like that. But yeah, I didn't. I'm glad that you kind of went long on yours because I didn't have anything that came top of mind. I did listen to this one podcast with this guy named John Hope Bryant. I haven't heard of him before, and it was really good. He's just I guess an entrepreneur, but mainly in real estate. And so his thing is just helping people become financially literate, essentially, and specifically Black people and lower income people. And so he founded a nonprofit called Hope, and they used to be one of the largest single family homeowners like in the United States. I think he said he owned close to 1,000 homes, like single family homes, and
Wow.
yeah, and it was primarily in the southeast and like lower income places like Alabama and other places like that. And what he said is that they would rent to these people, but they had a program when once you rent from him to try to basically get you out of his house as fast as possible and buy your own place. So they were trying to help them fix their credit score and learn about finance, and just I thought that was really cool. So that was super inspiring, but also he just shared a bunch of good tidbits about finance and all the cool people he's met. Like he's good friends with the owner of the Atlanta Falcons football team, and he was just sharing a bunch of good stuff. I don't have like on top of my head because I was to like on Monday, I think, but he shared a bunch of good stuff about what all the billionaires have in common that he's friends with. And then I listened to another one that was um, oh, it was Layla Hermosi, and she was talking about hiring and specifically onboarding, and that was really timely for me because I'm in the process of that now. But she shared a bunch of good stuff. One of the things is just like as soon as you hire someone, like, well, first of all, just treating it like a customer and instead of like an employee, like treat them the same way. And what that means is what we're just talking about on the customer side. So, like, if you hire someone, don't wait until like, let's say you hire someone on a Friday, don't wait until Monday to reach out to them. Like, as soon as you hire them, send them something cool about your company, send them some videos they can start learning about your company, set them up with their email with your company, like stuff like that, so that they're immediately like, okay, this person wants to work with me, like instead of just like
Yeah.
going by the book or whatever, like send them stuff immediately and just treat them like you're excited to have them. And she said, like we always think about it, or at least I always think about it like am I going to enjoy working with this person, or am I going to want to work with them long term? But the same thing is happening on the other side. And so she shared that the majority of employees also churn within 90 days. So like for us and as employer, typically 90 days is kind of like a probation period, like you're feeling them out. But same thing, vice versa. And so if they don't like you, they're going to probably leave within the first 3 months. And so that kind of sucks. And so she was just sharing a bunch of good tidbits on how to make sure that doesn't happen. So number one was like be quick and send them, resources about your company, get them set up quickly, and then just make sure they have all the right, introductions to other people on your team right away, and making sure they have clear goals for the 30, 60, 90 days, like because that is the most important time in the new hires journey. So make sure they have clearly defined goals, and make sure you're also focusing on small wins with them too, so that like on the first day they can have something where it's like, okay, I did something, I accomplished something today, and then make sure you're stacking those, day after day, week after week. So yeah, there's a bunch of good tidbits in there, but that was on her podcast. I don't know the name of her podcast actually, but I'm sure if you look up Layla Hermosi, it'll pop right up. But that was
Yeah.
that was a really good one. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just stuff
yeah,
I
but
wouldn't
thank you.
100% think about either. Like, but Jasper, you and I both have talked about how we appreciate companies that do that. Like you sign up with a new service and they, you know, let you know that, hey, we're glad to have you aboard, confirm your sign up, whatever, send you some quick start stuff if you want to get started.
Hmm.
And it makes you feel more warm and fuzzy about the decision you made.
Yeah, yeah, and it definitely goes both ways. Like whether it's a employee you're hiring or a customer, because I've been on both sides of that, where it's like I've been on one side where I sign up and immediately maybe I get a phone call or an email with a bunch of resources, and like that feels great. But I've been on the other side where it's like I've signed up for something and I'm like, did you even get my payment? Because like nothing, I
Yeah.
get absolutely nothing, and so that
Yeah.
makes
And
you
then you're
feel
reaching out
like
going, hey, did my payment go through? Yeah.
yeah. And so then right off the bat, you're losing trust for that company right off the bat. You're wondering like,
Yeah.
do they even want to work with me? And for me, I can speak for myself. I even consider like canceling right after that because like you don't even like I didn't even get a confirmation or anything. Like it doesn't even seem like you care. So yeah, it definitely can apply to employees and customers both. So awesome. Thank you for sharing yours too. You had some really good stuff for the big leak and Hermosi sales thing. So thank you for that.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, all right, but now that we've covered inspiration, education, what's been inspiring us, let's dive into business check-in and get share how our businesses are performing this week, any tools and resources or anything that you've come across, and just overall check-in.
Yeah, I guess I'll do an overall check-in, and I told you offline I'm going to do this a little bit on the fly because I was driving back from the beach this morning. But in terms of KPIs, a little bit of a slow week for us with um, the glamorous KPIs of closings and solds and contracts, right? So uh, we didn't get any contracts this week. We've got some ones that feel like they're ready to pop, but we've been doing follow-ups, and for whatever reason, people have been slow. So that's just a challenge sometimes when you've got. I guess I could briefly just like we got one guy who's out of state and he's like 70 something, and his brother's handling the negotiation back and forth. And he's a really cool guy, the brother, but he's very, very busy. And so we're doing the telephone game. It's like, hey, did your brother get the contract? I don't know. I'll check with him. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Sorry, I had a busy day. I'll get him in the morning. It's like that kind of thing. So now we've got anyway, don't want to go too long about that, but sometimes, things just happen with contracts. But I think we have
Yeah.
probably next week, I'll be saying we have 2 or 3 or 4 contracts, I would guess. And then sales is the same thing. We've been a little bit slow in sales. Partly we don't have a lot in the hopper to sell. Um, but I guess we sold one this past week, but it's one that fell out of escrow and then we resold it. So I guess that still counts. And we sold it on owner financing. So it's one we'll be buying and then we'll be selling it to the end buyer on financing and making, monthly payments and interest on that. So that's cool. That's a win. And then for closings, we did not have any closings. We do have a couple scheduled for this week. I was hoping to get one, before the end of the month, this, January, before January ended. And we talked about this last week. I tried to move one up, and the soonest the attorney would move it up to is next week. So the buyer's ready to
Yeah.
go, the seller's ready to go. But for whatever reason, the attorney wasn't ready to go. So that'll be next week. And I think we have 2 to 3 scheduled for next week. So that's good. Grateful for that. Um, what else? I guess when we're talking about tools and hiring, which we've been talking about a lot lately on this podcast, I did sign up with somewhere.com at your recommendation, Jasper. And, I interviewed one of the candidates that Somewhere had sent you for our acquisitions closer role. And I really liked her a lot. I thought she was great, really great quality of, potential hire. And so that sort of led me to go with them because we had been on Online Jobs PH, and I'd interviewed a few people from there, and then I'd interviewed one guy from Upwork who was really good, very good, and then where else? Our operations guy does some postings on some Facebook groups where people he posts for Latino workers because it does help for us to have a bilingual person in North Carolina here. There are a lot of Latinos, a lot of Spanish speakers here. So anyway, I somewhere.com as a hiring service. If you're just starting out, it's probably a little bit steep. It's $500 for them to set up your application or set up your post and then start the headhunting. And then you have to pay a percentage of that person's first year's salary once you hire someone through them. And they will guarantee that for 6 months. They will replace that person if they fall out. And they give you a variety, a list of reasons why they will replace that person. But basically, if they don't work out for any of the main reasons, you would be able to have them replaced free of charge. So that's kind of cool. I felt they were very professional, like you did, Jasper. I really enjoyed the onboarding process with them and thought they were very thoughtful and in depth about what I was looking for. Covered all the bases, asked good questions, and built a good job description. Were knowledgeable about what I would expect to pay in the marketplace for that type of person and advised me around that. So for me, where I'm at in business, it's worth it to spend a little bit of extra money to save a lot of time weeding through resumes and interviewing people. So that's why I went with them. And hopefully they said 5 to 7 business days to get candidates sent to me. And I just signed up like Friday. So maybe this week I'll get some candidates, maybe the next week. But that's our big, I checked in about this last episode, but that's our big pain point right now, is really needing someone to follow up on the offers we're making and to close some contracts, negotiate with sellers, build rapport, all that stuff. We have one acquisitions person who does that, but she does a variety of other tasks. Um, and then it falls to me to do some follow-ups and calls with sellers and negotiate deals and stuff. And I don't want to be doing that anymore. So, so yeah, I guess that's business in a nutshell. I would mention this is a little bit of a vulnerable piece, but I want to mention it because it's true for me and it might be true for other people. I'm an introvert, and I started this business because I wanted to make more money than I was making in my previous work, which, I was a contractor, I've been an artist, I've had art businesses. And but this job has taken its toll on me, building this business, being responsible for a big team, making the sales calls. I'm good at sales, but it costs me every time I do sales calls. It's not the thing that charges my battery, it's the thing that drains my battery. And so when I'm, in the beginning of starting this business, I had to do everything. So I had to make all the phone calls, and I set targets for myself. I'm making this many calls each day or whatever. But at this stage, with all the other responsibilities, it's just a drain for me and a stressor. And so I just want to say that to anybody else who might be an introvert, or, you know, I've had some mental health stuff around this. I've had some, anxiety and stress and even panic attacks because of it. So uh, just want to say that because I think other people experience it too. And as far as tools go with that, I've been using AI to help me handle some of this stuff. And there's cognitive behavioral therapy on AI. You can use ChatGPT to walk you through stuff. And used another app called Stoic, and then another tool I use is called iBreathe, and it's a free app, and it just walks you through a breathing session. So I actually have alerts throughout my day that come up on my Apple Watch or my phone or my Mac, and just say, hey, take 5 minutes to breathe. And I actually sit and breathe because it de-escalates whatever stress or anxiety might be accumulating throughout the day. So real estate's, it's a challenging business. It's not an easy business. If it was, everybody'd be making a ton of money in it. So I just want to throw that out there. And yeah, and as far as on the as long on the ChatGPT and AI topic, um, it'll do so much for you with your business. Jasper and I have talked about this some, but if you're trying to figure out what your next hire is, you can type in everything that's going on in your business and where you're at, what your revenue is, how many deals you're doing, what you need, and it'll tell you, give you a business plan. Here's your next hire. Here's what you do. If you're trying to strategize a succession plan for somebody to replace you, if you're whatever you're doing in your business, whatever your biggest challenge is, you can type that into ChatGPT, or if you're using Gemini or Claude or whatever, and get feedback and get like actual real life plans. And it will just keep asking you, hey, do you want me to outline an action plan for this? Do you want me to outline a business plan for this? Do you want me to create a job description for this hire, or an ad for the hire you need to make? Like, just if you're not using it already, use AI. It's really super helpful. A lot of people probably are, but man, I've really just started to dive into it, and it's a game changer. And yeah, I think that's my business check-in for now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your challenges too, because I think that's great for everyone to hear who might be going through the same
I
thing.
think that in this podcast, we want to be honest about what the real world day to day of running and building a business is, not just, hey, look at us cashing checks, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it, and it is a challenging business. Like, it's not something you just, yeah, you got to put some work in. And a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely. But those are great tools you shared to help, combat that. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah,
And very helpful.
I just wanted to echo what you said with somewhere, because we were just talking about that in the inspiration section. But one thing I noticed with them is that they are one of those businesses that we were just kind of, alluding to, is that when I spoke to them, it was very professional, just like you. And then when I got off the call, he told me what would happen next, and that's actually what happened next. So it was really nice. He was like, "This person's going to reach out to you via email within this time frame. They're going to send you, introductory, all the stuff, and then you'll have all the stuff, and then within 5 to 7 business days." And they kind of kept all those promises. So that was really nice, and definitely is something inspiring for me to try to do the same thing in my business. Like, be someone who keeps our promises, keeps it, adheres to those timelines that we give the sellers or buyers or whatever. So yeah,
Hmm.
so just wanted to echo that. And we're not affiliated with that company, but if you guys do have, a bit of extra money to spend, I think it's well worth it to hire, to cut out all that like mental bandwidth that you'll spend like sifting through all the resumes and doing all the stuff yourself. It does take a bunch of time. It is a
Yeah.
whole other business. That's why there's a headhunting, whole industry, so
And a bad hire can cost you, like
yeah,
when I think about the last acquisitions guy I hired and we had him on board for 4 to 5 months and he didn't pull his weight, and now we have, low properties in dispo and we're like scrambling to try and get more contracts, and that like just creates a fucking, pardon my French, it creates a domino effect in your business of like, oh no, now we're scrambling to try and meet revenue goals, and it can mess up an entire quarter to have
yeah,
a wrong hire. And you're not just talking about the hourly that you paid them, you're talking about the time you spent in the search, you're talking about the interview process, you're talking about the training process, and whatever cost it has to your team in terms of morale when they see somebody not pulling their weight. There's just a
yeah,
lot of costs. Like you could easily throw, I feel like I could easily say that bad hire cost me $100,000 and I wouldn't be, I might even be underestimating it. Right.
yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there too on that point.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a great point. And there's so many costs to a bad hire, but like the one that I never want to even think about is that someone could literally just be like stealing time from you or stealing leads from you. And so
Yeah.
that's even beyond, the cost that you just shared. So like
Right.
with this service, like somewhere, like I'm not trying to sell people on it, but just in general, I've kind of transitioned my mindset this year to working with someone like somewhere, or whether it's not their company, someone else, but just kind of someone to do that for me, because I'd rather work with a company that does that full time, because I don't hire full time, so I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. I've tried to learn over the years, but it definitely saves a bunch of time, and you're front loading that cost, but then you're saving it in the long run. When you hire a great person up front, they're making you a bunch of money in the long run, and they're saving you a bunch of headache in the long run. So I think it's definitely
Yeah.
worth it. Um,
Yeah.
and
And there are
that's
probably
one.
other companies that don't cost as much as somewhere too. I think you mentioned one or two last episode.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I heard about one, or I interviewed with one called Riva Global. So if anyone wants to check that out, REVA Global, and they just specifically hire virtual assistants from the Philippines. And then there's another one called Rafiki. So it's interesting names for these, but Rafiki, and that's actually a guy who's local in North Carolina. He's in the Guilford County area, and he started a virtual assistant staffing company. And his rates in Riva are actually, I think, identical. They're basically doing the same thing. They're just finding people for you, and they're a much more affordable option as compared to somewhere. But there's a slight difference where these companies are structured like rapid assistants, where they find you the person for a much lower fee. I think it's only $500, and then they manage them for you, so you pay them, and then they pay the VA. So they're not working directly for you essentially. So that's the main difference there. But you do save a bit of money doing it that way. So
I think just one other service too, Online Jobs PH is one that we mention sometimes, and we've hired people off of there. I think they have a higher tier service than the one you and I use, Jasper, where they will actually hire somebody for you and do all that. A similar thing to what you just described. I think like
mhm.
we pay $69 a month for access to the platform and the ability to post jobs and communicate with people and all that stuff. But I think if you pay whatever their next tier is, $100 or $120 a month, then they will find somebody for you or send you candidates and do a similar thing. So that's another one.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, that's some great thoughts on hiring. So for anyone who's in that stage, hopefully that's helpful. And you feel free to reach out to both of us if you want any feedback or advice or stuff. I think I think my dad's probably hired more people than me, honestly. So he'd probably be a better person to reach out to. He's helped me with job descriptions and stuff, but you can use ChatGPT and stuff to help you with those descriptions now too. So but yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to either one of us if you want more information on how we pay our VAs and stuff like that, how we manage them and stuff. But I'll jump into my check-in and then we could circle back to that if there's anything else. So yeah, I'll just go over the KPIs for this week first. So we got just this morning before we jumped on, we got another contract. So that bumps us up
Nice.
to three contracts this week. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, and technically this one will be in February. This will be our first one for February. But we got two more before the end of the month in January. So we surpassed our contract goal for the month. That was awesome. So sent the whole team a bonus, which is always fun. And they were super excited about that. And then we sold one deal. So we got this one property needed more work than what we thought. And my guy Mike got a price reduction on it. And then we were able to sell it same day. So that was great.
That's a victory.
And yeah. And then we didn't close any this week. But yeah, so that's kind of just a KPI rundown. And then we did Giselle, another win. She revived a deal that we've had in escrow, I think, since like October last year. It's been a long time. And she revived this one this week, which is great. I think Friday she revived it, and basically she got this quick claim deed signed that we need. This was a state issue, and there's still I think one more issue, but she got this quick claim deed that we were following up literally for months, trying to get this thing done, and they did get it signed and got it back to the attorney, and hopefully we'll be able to close that one in February. So that's been like again 3 or 4 months that we've been working on that one, and her second week this week she got that revived, so that was huge.
Awesome. And Giselle's the woman you hired off of somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So she started on Thursday 2 weeks ago. So it's been just about 2 full weeks now. So
What's her role?
right now it's transactions, but ideally her role is operations manager, so just managing everything. So yeah, in 2 weeks she's been great already. Like I said, she's pretty much hands off on transactions now. Like we check in on transactions at the beginning of the week, and she's pretty much running with it after only 2 weeks. So I think going forward, maybe after like a month, she'll probably just be checking in with me and telling me what's going on with transactions, and that'll be great. And then we're gonna slowly just transition in the rest of the roles that I want her help with. So marketing the properties, keeping up with our marketing, like our digital ads and SMS and all that stuff, and then helping manage stuff with the team and stuff, like listening to calls and giving feedback like that. So yeah, but so far so good. I'm really, really happy with her, and she's great to work with too. So it's really nice. But yeah, so there was that one, and then I think I had another thing I wanted to share with you about a deal, but now I'm blanking on it. But I definitely did have some challenges this week I want to touch on, so I could do that. But so one of the main fails that I noticed this week is that last year I hired a developer to basically try to copy my Podio, because I'm paying monthly for Podio. And I actually do have a victory I want to share with you, but I'll start with the challenge, wrap it up in a victory. So
Good.
anyways, I paid a developer to try to copy my whole Podio. And so he went around and kind of tried to copy the flows and a bunch of stuff. And he got like 80% of the way there. Like I do have a copy of this that's could be functional with a few finishing touches. So that's nice. I just never converted because it wasn't fully there. And I just didn't really know how, and he kind of just ghosted me. Anyways, long story there, but point is he got me like 80% of the way there. And it's also good because it's kind of a template where I could share with people. So if that is something where if you're listening and you're interested, I think I could just copy this and send it to someone else now. So that's kind of cool. So if you do want like a Podio that's pretty much set up for real estate, and like I said, it's not a 100% copy of mine, but it's pretty darn close. Feel free to reach out to me, and I can clone this blank CRM and send it to you if you want to experiment with Podio. That's what we both use as our CRM, and it's very nice. It's very customizable.
Yeah,
so
and we built our own too. So we have a totally different version than Jasper. We built it from the skeleton into our wholesaling model.
Yeah. Yeah, the cool thing too is, while we're on the topic of CRM, if you just go into Podio and you sign up for their most cheapest version, I think it's $24 a month to give you like the workflows and stuff. You can just do exactly what he said, and you can literally just add app by app by app, whatever you want, and you can just customize it yourself. So it doesn't require any coding to just add the apps and stuff. If you want to do workflows, it does require a bit of coding and knowledge about that stuff. But just to do a basic bare bones, like keep track of your sellers, buyers, transactions, you can do that in like 30 minutes, probably just creating those apps. So that's what's nice about Podio. It's very user friendly, at least to get up to a basic level. So that's really nice. But anyways, long story short, I found out that when he was playing around in our Podio, it turned off all of our trips. for that time period. And
Oh no.
so I just found this out like 4 or 5 months later, which is a real big bummer for me. So I found that out, and I literally like I found it out and I looked at it and literally just my heart sank because I'm just like, man. And so I just went through, I started going through, it's literally like 2,500 like sellers. And so I started
That were
going through
supposed to be
them.
in drip campaigns that were not.
Yeah. And so whatever happened, like it was something within Podio, but it was like triggered by this developer who was
Yeah, he
working
just
on it.
messed up a workflow somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically it shut them off, but they're still in the drips, if that makes sense. So they were still in the drip, but the trigger was turned off. So they weren't doing the, oh man. So anyways, so I found it out, and that just like ruined my whole day when I found it out because I'm just going through one by one, and not every single deal, but I was going through like one by one, and I stopped at like 50 people probably, and I was just going through one by one, just clicking on it, and I was just crossing my fingers, and probably I went through like 50, probably 20 of them were sold, and I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna get all those deals,
Oh
obviously.
wow.
Like I'm not gonna get all those, but let's just say I got 5 out of 20 that sold. Like that's another, I don't know, 50 grand at the minimum, maybe 100,000. So, and that's
Yeah.
just 50. I went through the first 50. And so
Yeah.
I'm just like,
And if
man.
you got 2,500, then that's yeah.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
so I'm just like, cool. So I pretty much lost out on like, not all in last year, but probably 50 deals potentially that I could have had. So the good news
Man.
is I noticed it finally, and my amazing admin assistant is working on it right now and resetting all of those one by one. So I feel bad for him,
So
but really
do they
appreciate the
work
help.
after you reset them?
Yes,
Now that you're resetting, so the workflow or the trigger's been fixed?
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, that's a huge bummer. But good news is hopefully the ones that did sell, we might pick up some of those up this first quarter. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, it shut off the drips, but it also shut off the follow up that was set manually for the team too. So that was all just shut off. So, anyways, he's going through manually this week, and probably the next week or two they'll all be done, and then that will shift the bottleneck around now to replies because I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of responses and stuff. So I'm probably going to have to hire someone part time to help with that. Um, but I'm excited. It turned out into a victory because then I'm going to get a bunch of new leads coming back or, coming back to the service. So that's good. Um, but yeah, major fail. And so then when I found that out, I was like, man, like I don't want to do this again and try to switch my CRM and break it all over again. So I literally just reached out to Sal and I was like, dude, like I know I've been on this for years and I know you're not selling this anymore. Can you just like transfer ownership to me? Like I'll pay you if I need to. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll just hit me up next week. I'll be happy to do that for you. So I was like, huge victory there. So I'm super excited about that.
So
And
he's not going to charge you anymore?
no, he's just going to transfer it.
He's going to transfer the ownership of your CRM to you, and then you're done paying a subscription.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
huge
awesome.
victory there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's
I've been
just a
paying
phone
this
call.
one for like 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an example of like how sometimes a simple phone call can have huge leverage, right?
Yeah.
Just one, because what are you paying a month for that? Like 150, 200 a month?
Yeah. I think it's around 200 a month right now that I'm paying for it. So
So one phone call made you $2,400 a year.
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not done yet, but he told me just follow up this coming week and he'd be happy to hop on a call and show me exactly how we can transfer ownership. So that's going to be great because not only will I save that money, but then I'll just never have the lingering thought in the back of my mind. Like, what if Sal like accidentally closes
What if
like
they
my
just
Podio or
shut the whole
something?
thing down? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like
You lose
he's a
everything
very nice guy. He would never do it with malicious intent, but they could do it by accident and just shut down my whole thing. So that's
just
something
because
that
they're
I
not
think about.
using it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited about that. Fingers crossed, we'll get it all transferred over this week, and then yeah,
That's
it'll be nice.
Carlos and Sal, the mastermind that you were in.
Yeah. So I literally bought this back when I was in their mastermind. I think it was 2021. It's been four
It was a
years.
while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, it's like 10K that I paid for the CRM. So that's a
Yeah.
lot. That's a
And by
lot.
contrast, we built our own and we have 6 or 7 team members on there and we pay $200 a month-ish because there's a base
Yeah.
and then 25 per team member. So we're paying around $200 a month total for ours.
Yeah. So I'll still have to pay that, but I won't have to pay the additional fee to them.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. Um, but yeah, so that was just a major fail. I guess I didn't need to share that.
No,
but
it's good to share.
that
We're trying to
was,
share the nuts and bolts here and give people a real life experience and hopefully help people avoid some of the pitfalls
yeah. Yeah.
that
So, I
we've
mean,
hit.
one thing I noticed, I mean, it's all on me. It's just a major fail on me because I don't have that systems person, so that's my responsibility. And I just I missed it for the past 3, 4 months.
You need to
Because
hire
we
that
have,
person, or is
yeah,
that what Giselle's going to be, that person eventually?
I think I should probably put that on someone else to have like a tech person just to
Yeah.
consistently like look at the tech. And so I might just do that. I do have one developer I think I shared with you that he's very good. He is a bit like can be hard to get a hold of when
Inconsistent.
yeah, when I'm in
Yeah.
communication with him. But I think I might just hire him on a project basis, which is what I already do. Just have him check in with my Podio maybe weekly or monthly and just make
Yeah.
sure everything's running. So, um, but yeah, I guess the lesson there is that if you guys do have CRM, you do have systems that are automatically going on in the background, you should check on those at least maybe once a month. So yeah,
And if you don't have a CRM, Podio is great. We don't get any kickback on that. I've used Forefront and I tested 4 or 5 others. I think I have a spreadsheet on I probably tested 10 actually. We have a
yeah,
spreadsheet on everything I tested. So if you're interested in my notes or comparisons, I can share that with you.
yeah. Yeah, you've definitely done all the hard work for everyone. So feel free to reach out to him and ask for that spreadsheet. That'll save you a bunch of time. But one thing too, I want to share about Podio is like whether or not you go with them, I would recommend you go with like a bigger company because Podio just closed or shut down last week and it was only for like 20 minutes. But that's because they're owned by this company called Citrix, which is a massive billion-dollar national brand. And so like if you go with a more like I don't know the word for it, but just like a REI specific, someone that might have just spun it up in like a few months.
Yeah.
It's just them. And so they don't really have this huge infrastructure behind them, like Podio, for example. So if you're going to go with a CRM, I recommend, you put some research into that decision because it's really hard to transfer CRMs. And so make sure you get it right out of the gate. But go with someone like Podio or someone like HubSpot or someone like Salesforce, for example, like one of these really big companies that has the infrastructure to fix any issues that might go wrong because I've definitely had issues with Podio where they go down. One time it did go down for like a full day, I think, but they're usually right on the ball and fixing it very quickly because it's not just us on there. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of customers. So that's just one
Yeah.
thing
And the
to
other
think
piece
about.
of that is that they're probably more likely to be around for a while. Like you could sign up
Yeah.
with a smaller company and then be like, oh, we're not going to do CRM anymore. It's not really making us
Yeah.
money. And then you have to
Exactly.
transfer everything.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. So yeah, but I think that's enough on CRMs.
That's a lot. That's a deep dive. That's a rabbit hole on CRM.
Yeah.
So hopefully
So
we didn't
sorry about
lose
that, everyone.
everybody.
Yeah. But I think that's it for my check-in. I went plenty long enough. So yeah, thanks for listening to me and giving feedback there.
Yeah, well, it's relevant for me too because we're always dealing with the thing is, we're always tweaking Podio too. It's like never done. But
Yeah.
let's stop talking about CRM. Let's move on to what's next.
Yeah. So now that we've both done our business check-in, we like to switch it around to you guys to any comments or questions you might have shared. So did you have any pulled up on YouTube? Did anyone leave any over the past week?
No, but I think I can get there more quickly than I did last time I tried to.
Okay.
Um, I know we had one comment asking about SMS and just a little bit more of the nuts and bolts about that, like the cost and SMS. Let me see if I can get to it quickly, but just talk a little bit about your SMS marketing strategy and stuff, Jasper, because I think that's one of the questions we had here, and we can do it as a topic on an episode too, because I think we get quite a few questions about SMS. I was trying to see if I could pull this one up real quickly. More insight into your SMS process would be great. Software costs, stuff like that. I hear launch control is good. And I know you replied to this, Jasper, but people are also asking about ROOR, ROOR, which I've never used. I've used Smarter Contact and launch control, and Jasper's used launch control. So we can talk about that a little bit here, just briefly, and then we can do more on it if people want more. So you
Yeah,
want to hit
definitely.
that, or you want me to read what you said here?
I could hit it real quick. I've already commented. They can read that, but I can hit it here too. But yeah, thanks for the comment and question for everyone who did leave them. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Maybe next week we could just do a SMS focused thing. Maybe we could even share our screens
Yeah.
and go over our respective things. I think this one
I think a lot
I
of people
talked
are
I
asking
talked
about it.
about
Yeah.
CRMs too long, so we won't do it on this one. But maybe next week we could do just an SMS focused episode. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as Roar, I have heard of that. I've just never used it. I think it's a SMS and RVM platform similar to Smart Contact where you can do both all in one. So I just have never used it. But yeah, so for me, I use Launch Control. The cost, I'm actually just looking at it right now. So their cheapest plan is $4.97 a month. Then they have a core plan, $7.97 a month, and then Pro plan is $14.97 a month. And with Launch, one thing that I like about them is that those are the flat fee, like monthly thing, like they don't charge you per text. And so that includes a certain number of outbound texts, and then replies are free and they're included. So we have one plan or one account, which is on the enterprise, which is the highest account that you can have on them. And that sends out 5,000 texts per day. So we have one account on that and then one account on the tier below that, which sends out 3,500 texts per day. So combined, we're sending out 8,500 per day. And yeah, what else was on their question?
Let me see here. Launch control. Wait, I'm looking at your reply. Sorry. I
Uh,
scrolled down. More insight into your SMS process, software cost, stuff like that. So I guess there's not much else other than software and cost or anything else you want to throw in there, Jasper. Or I can
yeah,
jump in and
so
throw in a couple 2 cents about Smarter Contact too.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it with software and costs and the numbers that we're sending out and stuff. Um, Yeah, I do have a buddy actually that's building a SMS thing, so he's going to launch that in the next couple of weeks, and then I might share that with my groups and stuff. But it's going to be called AirDrop SMS. So if you Google it, it's probably pop up, but it's not done yet. So that's going to be kind of cool. But
All right. Well, I'll just give my 2 cents on Smarter Contact. So I've used both side by side, and I've used Launch Control for probably, I think, a year. Over a year, I used Launch Control, and then I've also used Smarter Contact for probably a year and a half. So I've had a split test of both of them. They both have their pros and cons. I think that Launch Control has great drip sequences. It's really easy to put sellers into drip sequences by period of time and by temperature of the seller and all that stuff. And I like the dashboard and the interface. I think the UI user interface is really nice on Launch Control. So that's all good. We stopped using Launch Control because we got flagged by a carrier while using Launch Control, and we felt like their service wasn't good in getting us back up online. And we felt a little bit shortchanged by them that we did get flagged in the first place, and they didn't like help us avoid that. So we had some. I can't even remember all the reasons we finally decided to just completely leave them, but um, our SMS specialist really likes Smarter Contact. It's also got a great user interface. It's also really simple to use and clean. The follow-up sequences are not the same, but most of our leads just get pushed to our CRM, and then you can do follow-ups campaigns within Smarter Contact. It's just a little bit different. You take unresponded leads and then put them in a follow-up. But like Jasper said, we can do a more in-depth thing for Smarter Contact. This let's see, we got starter plan on Smarter Contact is $199 a month, and then a pro one is $399. And these are the build quarterly prices, so I guess it's going to be a little bit more if you want to just start off monthly. And then the elite plan is $500 a month, and this includes unlimited leads and contacts, unlimited markets, unlimited two-way messaging. They have a CRM actually built into Smarter Contacts. So if you're starting out and you want to sign up for a starter plan and get a built-in CRM, that's there. What else do they have here? This is all in the starter plan. They have live trainings you can go into for SMS. They do have some pretty good trainings and videos and stuff. Free incoming messages and calls. That's another cool feature. I think this is one of the reasons we went with Smarter Contact too. So you can tell I'm a little bit out of touch with this. I don't use it anymore, but I have been in there and worked in it, and I really liked it. But if you're texting somebody and they call the number that you're texting them from, you can actually pick it up on your computer dashboard and talk to them. Or you can dial them and call them from Smarter Contacts. So that's a pretty great feature. That's one of the reasons we're with them. That just reminded me of that looking at this. And they do DNC and litigator scrubs when you upload your list. They will scrub your duplicate contacts that are already in your system automatically for you, so you're not sending duplicate stuff. There's a voicemail box, voice messaging. They have keywords, blah, blah, blah. And then there's more stuff if you go up to Pro and Elite, but nothing that really, I think, moves the needle a ton. CRM integrations you can get when you go up to Pro, which we have. We push our leads from Smarter Contact to our Podio. There's an integration there, and that's not available on the starter one. But again, if you're using the CRM within Smarter Contact, if you're just starting out and you want an all-in-one solution, that could be a good thing. And then you got more stuff with the Elite plan. I think we're on an Elite Plus. I honestly, I would have to look at my account and see what we're doing, but I think we're paying like $1,200 a month, and we're sending like 50,000 texts a month or something like that. We send like 2,000 a day, so yeah, 50,000, 60,000 a month, something like that. Anyway, that's probably enough detail for now. We can go more in depth in the future.
Yeah,
And I don't know
definitely.
anything about Roar. I've never even looked at Roar. I guess it's a relatively new one, but we're happy with Smarter Contacts, so I'm not gonna try it right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that about Smarter Contacts. What's
Let me
that?
see if I have anything else in here.
Oh,
What kind of land is Mark doing? Infill lots or rural stuff? We do rural and urban lots. We Our specialty is, our primary goal is to be working with builders because they tend to be professional buyers who just give you a straight up answer, don't haggle on price overly much, and close things on time. So but probably still we have, a good 50 or 60% of our people are individual buyers who are trying to like build their first house or put a mobile home on a lot, things like that, especially the rural lots. So I would say 90 to 95% of our lots that we're dealing with are under 2 acres, and we're selling them as a building lot to a builder or an individual. We do some bigger acreage. We have done bigger acreage in the past. I find it's harder to comp bigger acreage, and it's harder to move it. It's a longer timeline generally to try and do all the research you need to do to see how many dwellings you could put on a bigger lot if somebody's a developer, or what uses it has, or to find somebody, if you can't do a development on there, to do like a micro farm or something if it's a 5 to 10 or 20 acre parcel. We sold one last year that was ended up being sold as recreational land to a guy who like was going to do hunting on there and hunting excursions and stuff like that. Some people do timbering, but then you have to get more creative and you have to beat the bushes more to find these buyers. So our sweet spot's really the sub 2 acre lots that are going to probably have a house or a mobile home on them. So hope that helps. And then what else do we have here? Thanks again for the last week. Found buyers from investor base. Really bad. I guess that's not a question. It's just a comment. And then, oh, should I do houses versus land? I guess that was the end of that. That one is just like, Jasper, I think you responded to this one too. Like, do you guys recommend houses or land? So we had one or two questions about that. So you want to speak to that at all?
yeah. I mean, it really just depends on what you like to do, really. I mean, they both work. So it's just like that's the thing about real estate. It's like wholesaling houses works, wholesaling land works, doing subject to works, doing all this, like, but they're not all going to work at once. So I would just recommend focusing on one and then seeing how you like it. Give it at least 6 months of just focus on one thing only, and then
Yeah.
see how it goes. If maybe you focus on wholesaling land first for 6 months and you diligently do only that, and you get nowhere, then maybe switch it up to doing something else. But I would say that you're probably not going to get nowhere. You're probably going to have great results if you just dig your heels in and focus on one thing for an extended period of time. So, and that's what all the bigger gurus say the same thing, like Hermosi and stuff. He says even longer than that, like 10 years focus on one thing. But
Yeah. Pick one thing and stick to it. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, they all work. So I would say just pick one strategy and try it for at least 6 months and see how it goes. But
Yeah. That's great advice. I echo what Jasper says, and Jasper and I are kind of opposite. You probably know that we have two separate businesses. We both work in the North Carolina market, but our businesses are completely separate. We once in a while JV or refer things to each other, but we're both working independently. And he started off in houses, and I guess Jasper, you started with like Brent Daniels and people like that, just wholesaling houses and taking courses and lessons from them, and jumped in, and that's what worked for you. I started off just like exploring a few different strategies. So owner financing, subject to land, houses. I was doing a little bit of everything in the beginning. And then I was just like, I'm going to focus in on land because there's less competition. And this was, in 2020, probably I really committed to land 2000, well, the end of 2020, maybe. So there was a lot less competition for land back then. Now there are 100 gurus teaching you how to sell land and do land deals. So I don't think the competition is much different for houses or land now. Maybe still a little bit more for houses, but I'm finding sellers I talk to now have talked. They're always, everybody's like, oh yeah, I've had so many offers, so many calls on this, And 4 or 5 years ago, I might have been the only one talking to somebody about a piece of land in a certain area. So it's changed a ton. So I don't think the reason I went into land initially was like, one of the reasons was less competition. I don't think that's necessarily there. Maybe in different areas of the country that's true still, not in North Carolina, which is a really hot market where people are wholesaling from all over the country in the North Carolina market. The other thing about land for me is, the saying, no termites, no tenants, no toilets, right? There's just less to deal with in that respect. When you're dealing with houses, you have, Jasper shared on multiple episodes about people who wouldn't move out, or just various situations with houses that can really delay you. But on the flip side, with land, you often have more title issues, it seems like, because land gets passed on from generation to generation. People don't have a will. There are multiple heirs, so you do have that stuff as a counterpoint to no tenants, no termites, no toilets, no roofs to fix, no HVAC, all that stuff. So I would say that. And what else about land? I don't know. I guess those are the only things that come to mind off the top of my head. And I just, what Jasper said, don't get sucked into shiny object syndrome, and don't get analysis paralysis of which thing to do. Like, look into the different options you could do, and then don't take too long analyzing. Just pick one that, resonates with you, and go for it and commit for 3 to 6 months so you can get your first deal and first deals. And then, if you want to pivot later on, you can do that. That's my uh, on top of yours, Jasper, sentiment.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I love that. And also too, it's like, if think about your long-term goals, because once you build a wholesaling business, the nice thing is then you build a pipeline for yourself too. And so if that's one of your goals, then think about that early on, because let's say you want to build a rental portfolio, maybe focus on wholesaling houses, because then you're going to have those opportunities that you can buy yourself. Me personally, I have no interest in doing that. But if that's something you're interested in doing, then you have that opportunity to buy those properties yourself from your own company. So you're getting the best deal possible, and then you can add them to your portfolio. But on the flip side, I think renting, or not renting, but doing the owner finance on land is much better than renting houses. So if it's something where you're looking for passive income, you can definitely reach out to my dad about that, because with land, same thing. Once you build that wholesale business, then you have this pipeline of opportunities, and you could buy it yourself, sell it on owner finance, and then get monthly income. And there's no tenants, no termites, no
And compound
toilets.
interest.
So
It's monthly income and compound interest, which is why we do
mhm.
it, because you sell a property for 10,000, by the time they pay it off, you're making 12,000, right? So that's just
Yeah,
more money plus monthly cash flow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a
And
great point.
so yeah, so just kind of depends on what you want to do. But maybe you want to get into like development or building like houses or something, then it makes more sense to get into land. So I think it also makes sense to look at your end goal and then kind of work backwards from there, see what could help you
That's
get there
a great
faster.
point. Great point.
Yeah. But do we have any
Yeah,
more questions?
I think that's all the comments and questions for this past week. Yeah. So
All
thanks so
right.
much. Yeah, for the
Yeah,
questions and
thanks everyone
comments.
for listening and leaving your feedback and questions. I love it. So we typically cover these at the end of the episode. So hopefully you leave some more comments and questions for the next one. I think next episode we might try to do more SMS focus. So stick around and tune in on the next one, and we'll probably go over our both of our kind of processes for doing SMS. But I think that's about it for this week. So do you have any other quotes or ending advice that you want to leave the listeners with?
It's funny, when I was driving here and thinking about this segment, I was thinking about um, when I graduated from Musicians Institute in Hollywood, before you were born, Jasper. Your mom gave me this shirt that said, it had a man on a high wire, like this with a pole, and it said, if it was easy, anyone can do it. anyone would have done it, or something like that, which I think is
Mhm.
just a great thing to think about, is like, this is not easy. And if it was easy, anyone would do it. So just it just speaks to, like, have faith, stay the course, stay true to your vision, be persistent, and don't give up. If this is what you want, if you want to grow your financial wealth, and you want to grow a business, and you want to be self-employed, or whatever your goals are, it's not easy, but it's worth it, I think. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I don't think I'll add anything else on that. I think that's a great way to end the show. So thanks everyone for listening. If you made it this far, and feel free to drop any comments or questions that we'll get to on the next show. You can find us both online if you just search our name. And yeah, I think that's it for the show. So thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next one.